Good morning, everyone. I hope you're having a great day so far. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to join me for another session of the Village Vitality series. My name is Aline, and I will be guiding you today through a sequence aimed at helping you find more ease in your everyday movements. We call these in the clinical world, clinical exercise world, we call them activities of daily living. They're things that anyone under the age of, I'd say, 40, maybe even younger, take for granted. Things like getting in and out of your car, getting in and out of the bathtub or the shower, clipping your toenails, putting away things in your cabinets, just stuff like that that just becomes harder and harder as we get older, and especially if we don't work our bodies in the right way. If we're not working on strength, not working on flexibility, or we're not working on the combination of those two things. So we'll be focusing on certain large muscle groups that will help with all these movements, but also focusing on body mechanics, um, and things like we'll be spending a good amount of time working on like how to pick something up off the floor. A lot of you might be actually actively avoiding that movement because it causes pain and discomfort, because you're worried you're going to fall, or because of however many other reasons, maybe plus those reasons that I listed. So hopefully, after learning about some of the biomechanics of how you should move your body, you will be a little more comfortable doing those types of movements, especially the bending over movement. So, for today, you will need your chair. You might want to grab your hand towel. We will be doing some hip circles, and instead of holding underneath the leg, you may want to use that towel for some extra help today. And I do have my mat set out. However, it's absolutely optional. The only deal breaker for me is if your chair slides around, you must have something under your chair to secure it. And a sticky mat like this works really well. So get your setup if you're not already. Get those feet out of their restrictive foot coverings, aka shoes. And we're going to get started. So today, we'll be working on a centering breath work called Samavriti. We've been working a lot with Vishamavriti, which is unequal ratio breathing. Samavriti is equal ratio breathing. Some people call it box breathing when we practice it with what's called a breath retention. And we will be practicing it that way today, but of course, you have the option of not retaining the breath. So the way that we're practicing it today, it's a 4-part breathing technique. You have, and the reason why it's called square breathing is you kind of draw a square with your breathing. So inhale is one part, then holding the breath after inhale, then exhaling, and lastly, holding the breath after exhale. The breath retention does some interesting things physiologically in our body. It makes this breathing technique a little more powerful in terms of its regulation of the autonomic nervous system. That's our nervous system that we don't control. So not when I move my arms and all of that. That's my breathing, my organ function, my heart, all of that that I'm not telling to be working as it's working. And interestingly, I found out digging into the research on this technique a little bit more that our U.S. Navy SEALs utilize this breathing technique in their training for its effectiveness at decreasing the sympathetic nervous system stimulation, aka your fight or flight response, your stress response. So it helps to control that. Now, you may be thinking, well, I am not anywhere near the level of a Navy SEAL in terms of the stress that's put on me. But to your body, stresses that you may be going through in your everyday life, it feels just as intense as if you were going under the stress of intense physical training. Um, and so to you, this breathing technique is valuable to really to everyone, regardless of where your stressors are coming from. It still has a very similar physiological reaction in the body. So, enough science talk. Let's get into our practice today. So, coming to your seated centering posture, you may want the support of your chair, maintaining a nice open torso. You may want to come about midway in your chair if you need a little bit more support, but want to work on posture a little bit more than sitting all the way back. And this will help with any feet falling asleep or the kind of numbness in the glutes or anything like that. If you don't have any issues with anything that I mentioned, definitely scoot to the edge of your seat. This is going to be the most effective in the sense of working the posture and the body, the muscle memory, and all of that. But don't suffer. Don't cause yourself to be in pain to try to attain this posture. So I think I've been teaching so many classes in this chair, I've kind of flattened it out. It's pretty firm now. So I'm going to scoot a little bit back in my chair today. Just want to make sure that we can still get the feet flat on the ground, still be pressing down actively into the feet and into the hips, and checking out that alignment. So when we talk about ease of movement, a lot of it has to do with your body and joint alignment. So any time that you can bring yourself into neutral joint positions, it's going to help you in the long run. So think about how you stand when you're doing dishes, when you're brushing your teeth, how you sit when you are watching TV, when you're eating. And often the answer is, this is how I'm sitting, or I'm leaning back into the couch and sitting like this. Or with standing, a lot of times we tend to shift weight into one side, doing my dishes down here, or I'm hunched over doing my dishes and leaning into one side. Those are all really not so great things for the joints in our body, and especially for our spine. So anytime we can try to maintain neutral, stacked spine with or without support. So I can still be comfortable in a nice, cozy armchair and have relatively good posture instead of this type of posture. So it doesn't mean you have to be uncomfortable all the time. All right, so find your stance. I'll guide you through our Sama Vriti. And so getting comfortable, rooting down, lifting up, eyes closed. And just taking a moment to observe the breath in its natural state without any alterations. Maybe you already can tell that your inhale is longer than your exhale, or vice versa. Let's begin to work on our square breathing now, our equal ratio. And we'll be practicing with a 4 count for each segment of the breathing. And remember, you control, I guess, the kind of the challenge of this breath work, depending on how quickly you count. Just make sure that you're consistent with your speed so that you're not counting really fast on your inhale, but then counting slower on your exhale. So whatever speed you decide to go with, just stick with that for all 4 parts of the breath. So remember, breathing through the nostrils in and out. You'll take a 4 count inhale, Hold that inhale for 4 counts. 4 count exhale. And hold that exhale for 4 counts. So on the holds, breath is neither entering or exiting the nostrils. You're trying to hold the breath with a sense of ease, without force, without straining too much. So if you find yourself straining, either shorten the length of the retention. So maybe you inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 4, hold 2, or cut it out altogether. And if any of you out there have uncontrolled high blood pressure, meaning you're not on medication, but you do have high blood pressure, or you're on medication, but your blood pressure is still really high, then do not do the breath retention. You're just going to want to practice a 4 count inhale and a 4 count exhale. But if you can, continue with this square breathing. You can even visualize drawing a square in your mind's eye with each of the parts of your breath. So it's 4 counts to inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Exhale. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Continue like that, maybe speeding up or slowing down. Good. Take several more cycles like this. There will be a couple times throughout our session today that we'll be diving back into this breathing technique while we move. So I want you to feel pretty comfortable with it. And if you don't worry about it, because you can just breathe regularly during those segments. Or again, even if you're balancing your breath without the retention, you're still getting good nervous system benefits from this breathing technique. Give yourself about 2 to 3 more cycles of your Samavriti, equal ratio, or square breathing, however you want to refer to it. And when you're ready to invite some movement, go ahead, and if you're leaning back in your chair or even in the middle of your chair, start to come forward to the edge of the seat. Reposition those feet to find your alignment. You can keep the eyes closed here. We're just going to do a neck release to begin. So bringing that right hand down, grabbing or hooking underneath your chair or holding onto the leg of your chair. Just start to very subtly shift over to the left and drop that left ear to the left shoulder. Feeling that stretch along the neck. Go ahead and come back to center. Keep the ear dropping to the shoulder, but we're just coming out of that lean. And then on an exhale, lean again and hold for a breath or two. On an inhale, come out of that lean. And then one more time, exhaling, maybe moving a little bit further to that left side. For last couple breaths to that side. On an inhale, bringing the shoulders and the head back to center. Exhale to release that right hand, bring it back to the lap. Notice differences between right and left side. Very interesting. And then go ahead and release that left hand down, grabbing underneath the chair or along the chair leg. Lean over to the right this time, just a little bit, and drop that right ear to the right shoulder. Take a couple breaths, trying to let your body release into this stretch. On an inhale, just release the lean. So we're not lifting the head to center, but we're just shifting the body back to center. And then on an exhale, move back into that lean to the right. So we're making this a little more dynamic. We're combining dynamic and static stretching here for those muscles in the neck. Inhale to center. Again, head stays, dropping down to the right shoulder. And one more time, exhale, lean over towards the right. Maybe a little more than that first lean. Maybe not. Either way is fine. And now on an inhale, lift the head and bring the body back to center. Release that arm. We're going to continue with a little bit more spinal movement with some torso circles. So starting this movement very small, I want you to imagine that you're bottom heavy, which you actually are. It shouldn't be too hard to imagine. So you're weighted down in this chair, and you're slowly and very subtly at first circling around the central axis point of the hips. So feel like you're anchored there in the center. Spine is staying long at first, and you're just making these small little circles as if maybe there's a little laser light coming from the top of your head, and you're tracing a circle on the ceiling. And now see how large you can make these circles without forward bending or side bending, but just keeping the spine long. And again, just trying to trace this bigger circle up on the ceiling. So this is starting to get into our core muscles a little bit. Now, if you're getting dizzy, maybe if you have vertigo or anything else, you're feeling dizzy from this circling, then just go ahead and cut it out. And you can do some spinal movements instead. And now once you've gotten those circles just about as big as you can make them without starting to move the spine a whole lot, now add that spinal movement in. So go ahead and dip down to the right, dip forward. Still, the idea is that you're creating a circle, but now your circle is maybe just getting really big, and maybe it's moving into different dimensions, not just tracing the ceiling now. So you can make this forward fold as big as you want to, but still feel like you're kind of leading with the head. Now you're just trying to mark up the walls and the ceiling. Go ahead and reverse directions, but keep these big, big circles. Root down through those feet, grip through those individual toes. Maybe even lift those toes up and bring them back down, just so you know that you're really engaging there in the feet. Start to make those circles smaller now. So try to eliminate the spinal movement and still making large circles, but keeping the spine long. This exercise is designed for a couple different reasons. One is to just get us connected with this whole space of the torso, with the idea of how we move our spines affects everything above it. And then, of course, to get into the joints and the muscles. So start to make those circles smaller now. We're slowly going to come back to those little itty bitty mini circles like how we started the exercise. Shifting the weight in the hips. This also will kind of help you to start to understand what balanced looks like in terms of balancing the weight in the center of the body. So start to hone it in now. Teeny tiny circles until you eventually come to a stop in the center. Excellent. We've made it back. Let's invite a little more Samavriti practice with some shoulder release and strengthening movements. Those of you with rotator cuff issues, be very careful with this one. If it starts to bother you beyond your normal pain levels, then see if you can just, so let me demo the exercise real quick, and then it'll make more sense when I give the modification. So we're trying to inhale the arms straight up and overhead for that 4 count inhale. At the top of the inhale, we're holding the breath, reaching through the fingertips for 4 counts. On the exhale, turning the palms out, reaching out through the fingertips, 4 count exhale to come all the way down, and then holding the breath on the exhale for that 4 counts. Those of you with rotator cuff issues, this movement may not be feasible for you, or it may cause a lot of pain. So what you may want to try to do is arms up and then arms straight back down. It's just a more supported position for the shoulder. But those of you who think, well, I want supported position also, it is good to try to work the full range of motion in the shoulder. So if you have a relatively healthy shoulder joint, we want to keep it that way. So we want to work that range of motion. So let's try to incorporate that breathing technique. So our 4 count inhale, and I'll just count for you. See if you can match your breathing, but if it's not feasible, then either speed it up or slow it down to tailor to yourself. We'll do this 3 times. So we're going to inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, exhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. Try that 2 more times. Hold. Exhale, really reach through those fingertips. Your 4 counts. Hold. 1 more time. So you're inhaling up. Hold. Exhale. And hold. Good. Return to your regular breathing. We will practice 1 more time or a couple more times throughout the class with incorporating our breathing technique. But for now, let's start getting the lower body nice and warmed up. So grabbing your towel, threading it there underneath the leg. We're going to draw that knee up and in and circle it out, down and around. If you don't have a towel or you prefer not to use the towel, then you will just interlace the fingers underneath that knee. If that limits your range of motion too much, or you feel like your whole torso is moving a little too much, we do want to isolate this as much as we can to the hip, or movement, I should say, to the hip. So you might want to just do this with just your right hand. Go ahead and reverse directions. Remember, we're trying to make the circles as large as we can and have the rest of the body as frozen in place as possible. So that means I'm engaging my core muscles. I'm engaging my back muscles to keep my chest open and lifted. And the next time you circle out to the side, hold that leg out to the side. Bring that foot down. Hopefully you're making about a 90-degree angle, but if you're not, then go ahead and walk that foot out a little further, even shifting the hips a little bit if you need to. So we're making 90 degrees here with the thighs. Go ahead and bring that elbow to the right thigh. Probably stretching here in the groin area. See if we can bring that left arm up. And if that feels okay to you, then you might want to just stay here, enjoying that nice stretch along the left side, into the right side of the groin. If you'd like to incorporate opening the chest a little bit, this is phenomenal to do for helping with the posture. So with your everyday posture activities, you might be limited by tight, weak chest muscles. So let's open out any amount. You don't have to gaze up to the ceiling. You can keep that neck neutral. And then bring that arm back up to the ceiling. So kind of releasing that stretch. So we want to open out, increase the stretch. You should feel this all along here in the front of the shoulder and in the chest. And then release. One more time. Open. And release. On an inhale, come up. And drawing either with your hand or without your hand, bringing that foot back to center. Let's go ahead and take circles now with the other leg. So using my towel perhaps underneath, 2 hands or 1 hand, circling with that knee. Ooh, maybe hearing that hip pop a little bit. Very common. And as I've mentioned before, that's just potentially illustrating tightness in the joint, because it might be ligaments within the joint kind of moving against each other or against the bone, or possibly tendons. So remember, tendons are what connect muscle to bone. Ligaments connect bone to bone. And we have both in our joints because we always have muscles crossing and connecting across joints. Go ahead and reverse directions. Remember, you're trying to freeze all of this in place, sitting up as tall as you can, wishing that you had an actual string attached to the ceiling to kind of help lift you up. I know I feel that way sometimes, for sure. Now, the next time you circle that leg out to the side, hold it out there, bring that foot down, adjust your body to try to get about 90 degrees or as close as you can to it. And remember, the ankle, even here, ankle stays under that knee joint. Start to move into your side bend. So we want to keep the chest open towards the front leg. Inhale that right arm up this time. And you might stay here, or if the arm up is too much on the shoulder or too intense in your stretching, just keep that arm down. But if you'd like to work into the chest, and especially if you did it on the other side, you need to commit here if you can. So you're opening out and releasing. Head can stay neutral. I do like to gaze up to the ceiling. I feel like it just feels best in my body. But if that strains the neck, then try different head positions. One more time to open out. Bringing that arm back to center. Take an inhale to lift up and exhale to release. Go ahead and bring the feet back together. Well, not touching, but back to alignment. And we're just going to work with a little bit of ankle movements. So coming up to the toes and flexing, lifting those feet up, heels down. So we're pointing, maybe even coming up to the tippy toes, and maybe even over the toes into a little toe and top of the foot stretch. That's totally up to you. If you have osteoporosis, Um, Osteopenia, you might want to avoid going over the toes. Those are delicate bones. We don't want to crunch anything. And so just working nice and slow, trying to get through as much movement in the ankle joints as you can. So I think some of you may know this, and I might have mentioned this before, but in terms of fall prevention, ankle stability is very important. It's really high up there in one of the ways to prevent falls. You may also know that trying to get up and go to the bathroom at night is a huge, so low lighting is a huge risk. Also, we're going to do one more flex. Also, uneven surfaces in your home is a huge risk. But beyond that, if you've addressed environmental factors, we want to address physical factors in terms of our own bodies too. Let's work with our inversion and eversion. So we're trying to roll onto the outer edge of the foot, lifting the inner arches, and then rolling onto the inner arches and lifting the outer edges of the feet. So side to side. Now here we're trying to lock the knees in place as much as possible because it's going to be really tempting to do this sort of thing, and that's cheating. So if you got really excited, like, yeah, I got a lot of ankle mobility, you might not. So we really want to isolate as much as we can to just those ankles and feet moving. And it might decrease your range of motion, but it's the right way to work the muscles in those feet. One more each way. And man, if you can do this while you're watching TV, you'll be doing yourself a big favor trying to do this every day, maybe even multiple times a day, if you can. All right, so let's get ready for our first vinyasa sequence. Now that we're nice and warmed up, let's address creating a little more ease in the body. So we'll start with our forward fold, and we'll do a little bit of locust work with our Samavriti square breathing exercise. So recentering, getting repositioned, seated mountain pose or Tadasana. Inhale to float the arms up. Exhale to fold forward, either arms up, arms out, or hands to the legs. Coming into Uttanasana, your seated forward fold. Letting that head release. I always automatically just start rolling those shoulders. Really helps to release tension in the upper body and helps traction out. So when I release tension there, it allows me to be a little heavier and traction and lengthen my spine a little bit more. One more breath here. Start to re-engage first by lifting the head. Bring those hands to the thighs. I'm going to demonstrate our locust exercise here first, and then you can join me. So if you want to actually dangle down in that forward fold and listen along, you can. I don't recommend turning your head to the side while you're in a forward fold. So you may just want to come up to seated while you watch. So for this technique, we'll actually start down in our forward fold position. As I do a 4 count, inhale, I make my way up into locust pose. So arms back, core is engaged. I'm kind of doing that back bending type movement. So I'm really trying to press my belly down to the thighs. So that's a 4 count inhale to come up. Then I'm going to try to hold that inhale for 4 counts. And then a 4 count exhale to release all the way back down. And then 4 counts to hold down here. Now, if lifting up like so is too challenging, it hurts or pulls on the back too much, then please, for your 4 count inhale, come up with hands on the thighs. So that's 4 counts here. Then if you'd like to try for the breath holding to send those arms back, do it then. And then your 4 count exhale to release down. So same thing, if releasing down is a little too much of a pull on the back, then from here, with your 4 count exhale, you'll bring hands to the thighs and release down. All right, so hopefully that made any amount of sense to you. Let's fold forward one more time. So let's take an inhale. Exhale, release forward. And get ready to begin here. So inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. 2 more times. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Last time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Powerful engagement of the back. 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Come up either through locust again if you'd like to for additional back strengthening, or with the support of the hands if your back is really tired. Nice work. So starting some movement here with our left leg. On an inhale, pick that left knee up towards the chest, draw that leg in, fingertips interlace under that knee. Here you have the option of using your towel for some cat and cow tilts with the leg. So drawing that knee in on your inhale, drawing navel towards the thigh, chest open, chin lifts. And on the exhale, taking that opposite shape with the body, really trying to scoop out in the abdomen, rounding through the back. Letting the weight of that leg kind of help deepen your stretch here. So inhaling up, lifting, opening. Exhaling down, closing, tightening. Just cycling through a few more breaths like this. Let's take one more inhale to hold that knee in. On your exhale, so I should have said one more inhale and exhale. And from here, just release that leg down. Lift up through the chest. Let's take a deep inhale here. On the exhale, both hands come to that right thigh as you start to hinge forward into your hamstring stretch. So we're stretching the back of the thigh here, possibly into the calf, possibly into the low back as well. So those are all normal places to feel this stretch. Make sure to unlock your knee. Maybe give yourself a little tap on the back of that knee joint. Tell it to unlock. And hang out here for a couple more breaths. Now, remember your options if you're pretty flexible. Maybe hand to ankle, but never hand to shin, because that's going to promote locking that knee out. So if you're not quite able to reach the ankle, just go ahead and keep the hand up here. Or if you have a yoga block or something that you can rest your hand on here on the outside of the leg, that's another great option. All right, on your next inhale, slowly lift and lengthen to come up. We're going to now straighten out that right leg. What do I have up my sleeve here? You'll find out. So a really great core strengthening exercise, and I'm talking the entire core. So not just the front, but we're working it all with this exercise. So I'm going to provide a modification as well, just in case this is a little too intense. So if you can, both legs are straight, arms are out, we're rocking back. Sounds simple, but you're going to rock back and then come up. Rock back, hold, and up. If you would like to, you can practice Samavriti here. So you'd want to exhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4, inhale 2, 3, 4, hold 2, 3, 4. You're not going to get quite as many repetitions in, but it will train muscular endurance, the endurance of those muscles as well, very similarly to doing multiple repetitions. Probably a little more challenging. So either way, trying to rock back. Either way, you're moving slowly, but maybe not just 4 counts for each movement. If this is a little too intense, you can do this with the hands behind you. Remember, trying not to put much weight in the hands, keeping the abdominals engaged. So try it out either way. Remember, you can always find middle ground here too, doing one arm behind you and one arm forward. We want to try to go for a total of about 10 of these. If you've been following along with me, we've done about 6, maybe 7. Remember to keep length in the spine. Oh, you guys feeling it? All right, let's do 2 more, which maybe is a little extra. But it's only good for us. And come up, release those arms. If you'd like to take a little counter stretch, go ahead and walk those feet in. Hands come behind you on the chair. And reverse tabletop. So you're trying to lift the hips up and you're just stretching the abdominals, stretching the hip flexors. Now, if you feel that your chair wobbles at all doing this, don't risk it. Don't lift your hips up. Or you could just try maybe straightening one leg out to just kind of spread the weight a little bit more. Go ahead and release those hips down if they're still lifted. Coming back to neutral here, and we're just going to walk those feet over to the right, setting up for a little high lunge here just to get a nice stretch in the front of the hip. And again, thinking of being easeful in our everyday activities. If we can get into these kind of motions and poses, then the everyday stuff becomes really simple in comparison. So you've rotated to the right. Hips are squared to that front foot, which is grounded. Trying to be up on the back toes. Let's take 3 twists. So deep inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, twist toward your chair. Take a breath here. And exhale to release. Again, inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, twist. Inhale in the twist. And exhale, release the twist. One more time. This is also just tricking you into holding the stretch longer. Doesn't feel that way. Or maybe I didn't trick you at all. Inhale to lift up. Exhale, twist. Inhale, lengthen in your twist. And exhale, center. Go ahead and release all the way over. Get yourself ready for another vinyasa on the other side. I'm just going to turn my chair around. So you're coming to that seated mountain pose, squaring off the knees, the hips, creating those 90-degree angles, finding your alignment. getting on the edge of that seat and getting ready to vinyasa and do our locust again. So we're going to try 3 more times with those locust breaths. Remember, if that isn't working for your body today, you can try just holding locust here. So just holding as long as you can and then releasing. You can try doing a nice back bend on your chair instead. So holding the arms back. So do whatever you need to do, but if you can, follow along here. So we're going to inhale the arms up. Exhale, fold. Taking about 3 to 5 breaths here in our forward fold, working out the tension. Trying to find release, maybe grabbing opposite elbows, maybe swaying side to side. Remember, you can always separate out those feet a little further apart to make more room for your torso. And you can even practice your locust work in that wider stance. Just see how it feels. And if you don't like it, then you can bring the feet back together again. Or back closer together. Go ahead and release those arms if you are holding them. Let's get ready for that first locust. So remember, if you can, you're trying to just come straight up into that locust pose on our 4-count inhale. But if that is just awful to your back, then you're going to bring the hands here for support, come up on the inhale for 4, and then on the breath hold for 4, you can send the arms back, okay? So let's get ready. We're going to inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. 2 more times, lifting with the back of the shoulders and the back muscles, not the head. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. One more time if you can. Inhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. To come up, you can do another locust if your back's not too tired, or trace those hands up to the thighs on an inhale, pressing into the palms to come up. Awesome work, you guys. Okay, let's get the spine released again. So we're going to take this time that right leg, either interlacing the fingers under that thigh, or maybe you're using your towel here underneath the leg. And you're inhaling for cow, knee to chest, chest opening, chin lifting. And on the exhale, opposite movement, opposite mechanics, scooping out as much as you can with the abdomen. So this is actually abdominal engagement here. Pressing that air out. Inhaling up. Exhaling down. Cycle through 2 or 3 more times. And the next time you send that leg down, go ahead and on your inhale, release that leg all the way down, come up to seated nice and tall, and we'll move into our hamstring stretch. So deep inhale to find length in the spine. Keep that length as you fold forward. And stop wherever you meet your edge in terms of your limit of stretch here. Remember, you may want to just come behind, unlock that knee joint. I see you knee lockers out there. I'm one of them. So I got my eye on you. Again, maybe this hand, if you have a yoga block, it's perfect because you can adjust the height or however you have that block set up. So you can have it a little higher, a little lower, or almost to where you'd be touching your ankle. Couple deep breaths here, trying to release tension wherever you can. If you're holding in the jaw, in the eyebrows, this practice of letting go while we are stretching transcends the mat. So when you're concentrating, a lot of times you do this, you do this. And so the more we practice releasing during tense moments like a very sensational stretch, we start to do it beyond just stretching. So it's pretty neat how that works. And I can tell when I haven't been doing yoga enough because of holding patterns coming back. Slowly inhale to come up when you're ready. And we're going to work with the abdominals again, a little bit different version of what we were doing before. So we are straightening both legs out. Really want to make sure you're at the edge of your seat for this one. And really want to make sure you're not locking those knees out. So a little bit of a bend. That means your quads are engaged and active. This time we're going to try to hold that rock back. And we're going to pulse the arms. That's going to strengthen the shoulders and arms. And of course, the abdominals and core. So I'm going to have us holding here for quite a while. You can always come out of it and rest for a few seconds and then try to come back into it, all right? So let's go for it. We're going to bring those arms out. Deep inhale, finding length. Exhale to rock back. If you can, you're trying to create one long line of the body, but you may have only rocked back like 1 inch. That's totally fine. So I want you to go just as far as you can without rounding in the back. Ho ho. Start pulsing those arms. Those of you who have done Pilates before, this is kind of like a seated 100, the 100. So we're pulsing. You can even do pursed lip breathing. I love pursed lip breathing because it makes sure I know that I'm breathing, not holding my breath. And then it actually engages the abdominals a little bit more. Try it out. Oh yeah, y'all. Stick with it if you can. Woo-hoo. Let's go for 10, 9, 8, 7. If you're resting, hop back in now. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Come up. Relax those arms. Maybe roll the shoulders out, swing the arms out, release a little bit of tension there. Let's come into that reverse tabletop as long as you feel sturdy in your chair. It's just a lovely little counter stretch to that intense abdominal exercise. Woo! Nice work. Release those hips whenever you're ready. Come on up and let's do our nice little lunge, which may actually feel like a wonderful stretch now. So we're walking over to the left, bringing that left foot over here, sliding that right foot down and behind us, and just coming to that corner of the chair. So you're freeing up especially that back leg. Want to root down through that foot on the ground. Try to straighten that back leg out as much as you can. Deep stretch here in the hip flexors and the abdominals on the side. Let's get into the abdominals a little bit more with our twisting. So let's take a deep inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale to twist. Inhale, hold here, but even try to lengthen here in your twist. And on your exhale, release that twist. Now, if you prefer, you can hold the twist the whole time. We're going to go in and out 2 more times. So inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale to twist. Inhale, hold. And exhale, release. One more time. And exhale, release all the way out. Hands. Let's go ahead and come to standing, doing a little bit of standing work for balance, for strength, and talking a little bit about body mechanics. Because you know I just can't help myself with the anatomy and the biomechanics and the physiology. Okay. Anyway, so coming up to standing, try chair pose if you would like to with me today. So we're going to walk those feet in. Keep them about hip width apart. You can come a little narrower with your feet, but not much more than hip width. Arms go forward, core's engaged, back's engaged, glutes are engaged, quads are engaged. Everything is engaged, but you're still breathing. You're breathing even more fiercely as you hold here. Maybe a little deeper in that squat. Ooh. Yes. And when you just can't handle it anymore, you're inhaling up, pressing into the feet, lifting up through the fingertips. Oh, it feels so good to stand. And on your exhale, releasing the arms down. Nice. Shake it out. I'm going to turn my mat. You shouldn't really have to do anything with your chair set up. We will be standing sideways to the chair. However, all of the stuff that we're doing, well, I'm going to turn my chair like this so you can see me better. All of the stuff that we're doing, you should be able to do facing the chair if you need to. So if balance is a really big issue and you're worried about falling, then you may want to face the chair. But for everyone else, try sideways because that's going to test the balance a little bit more. And especially for this first exercise, sometimes these are called, in the training world and fitness world, they're called good mornings. If you have weight added here, these are called deadlifts. And so really, it's just a hip hinge. So I'm going to teach you the proper way to hinge. Most of the time, people hinge at the low back. That leads to back pain, to bulging discs, herniated discs, lots of other issues. So if I'm hinging at the back to pick something up off the floor, I'm putting all of that strain, weight, pressure, everything into the spine. And not only that, but really just a couple of vertebrae in my spine. So I'm not only putting more impact on my back, but then I'm even putting more impact on specific vertebrae, typically L5S1, which some of you may be like, yep, that's where I have a herniated disc. It's pretty common. So instead of hinging here, a lot of times we hinge here because we have really tight hamstrings. We have weak glutes. We're just not doing proper body mechanics. So what we want to practice is hinging at the hips. And what that looks like is your butt poking out. So when I've done personal training in the past, I try to cue my clients that the first thing you think about is butt pokes back. So before you even think about bending, you want to poke that butt back. So butt pokes back, and you try to keep length in the spine. Knees bend a little bit. And if you were actually picking something up off the floor, you can bend your knees a lot more. Notice how my back is staying flat. It's staying protected. And it's not hurting. That's what we're going for. So try it with me. We're going to do 10 of these. So butt back. Hinge forward. Only hinge forward as far as you can before you start to feel like my back might be rounding. If you're lucky enough to have someone in the room with you practicing, maybe you can kind of keep an eye on each other. or if you have a mirror nearby. So that free hand could just come down and then come back up. Engage the glutes and squeeze on your way up. Let's do that 9 more times. So butt back, hinge at the hips, slight bend in the knees. You should feel a lot of engagement in the glutes and the hamstrings. Reaching. And come up. Squeeze the butt when you come up. Nice. Butt back. Hinge forward. And come up. This is also stretching the hamstrings and the glutes. Now, I do want to say, if you're unsure whether you're performing this correctly, if you feel strain in your back, you're probably not doing it right. So I want you to just stop and just work on hip hinge. So just hinge and up. Hinge and up. Okay, so for our last 7, if you're feeling any kind of back pain, please stop. Since I can't see what you look like and whether you're doing it right, I would rather err on the side of caution and have you take it back a notch. All right. Anyone burning yet in the back chain of muscles? The answer should be yes. Unless you're just really strong, then you might not feel it so much. But let's do 3 more. Butt back, core engaged, back engaged, slight bend in the knees, reach down. So remember, if you were actually picking something off the floor, you would initiate the movement like this, and you would come into a deeper squat to reach down. But right now, I'm wanting to target strengthening all of these muscles. Last one, I think. I've been talking and I lost count. You know what? Let's just do one more for good measure. So butt back, hinge forward. To come up, engage the glutes, engage the hamstrings, keep that spine long. Squeeze at the top. Nice. All right, for good measure, let's get those glutes a little bit more. So I'm going to bring that left hand to the left hip. I'm going to lean over into my chair just a little bit. So I'm actually going to face you guys for this one. So you can see I'm not leaning heavily into that side. Just a little tiny lean. And we're sending that leg straight back and bringing it back to neutral. Core is engaged. I'm not leaning forward at all. So notice if I come to a side view, go ahead and keep doing that, y'all. It's not a big movement. I'm not lifting that leg very far behind me. And that's because I'm isolating to the glute muscles. If I start to hinge forward, then I'm not using those muscles as much. It's cheating. And it's not even cheating in a good way. You're actually it's a disadvantage for you. Not even getting anything out of it. 2 more. Last one. And let's try a little bit of balance here. So that right hip may be burning a little bit. Go ahead and slow hula hoop. Stretch it out a little bit if you need to. And then coming to your stork balance. Gonna bend that left knee. Root down through the whole right foot. So feel those toes gripping. Feel the weight in the heel and in the ball of the foot. And then see if you can lift that left knee up. And maybe you're sending both arms out. Again, you can do this facing your chair. You just won't be able to lift that knee quite as high in front of you, which is fine. You'll still be testing your balance. Okay. So if you fall out of it, come back into it. That's all part of the process. Relax the face, the shoulders. And on an exhale, release out of it. Shake the legs, do whatever you need to do to decompress. Let's get that right glute and balance on the other side. And then we'll take a cool down stretch and call it a day. So repositioning, you want to turn the other way so your left hand is on the chair, or you're facing the chair, and you can still do that exercise facing the chair. Hand to the hip, zip it up. Very slight shift into that left foot, and push it back and come to center. Really feel that glute engaging. Feel that navel engaging. So you're trying to press the navel to spine here. Keeping the back long. Again, it's kind of a small movement with big results and big sensations. I like to exhale as I press back. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2. You might feel it more in the supporting leg or the standing leg. And so let's relax for a little bit. Maybe that slow hula hoop or any other kind of stretching that might feel good to you. We'll get a nice big cool down stretch with our standing downward dog here in a minute. Let's balance. So stork on the other side, again, maybe facing the chair. Root down through the feet. Find that balance point. So you might want to just kind of sway a little bit. Try to feel where your feet feel most centered, or your weight feels most centered in the feet. Bending that right knee. Again, reconnecting, rooting through that left foot. Take your time to set that foundation for your balance work. Drawing that knee up. Finding your focus point. That dust bunny in the corner. And breathe here while you balance. I just noticed I said that because I was holding my breath. Try to relax the shoulders. Relax the face. Deep breaths here. Maybe coming out of it and then coming back into it. And on an exhale, when you've had enough, go ahead and relax. Shake it out. Let's do that lovely standing down dog and then Shavasana time. So remember, for your standing downward dog, you control the intensity level here. So the further back you go, the more you're going to get into the shoulders and chest, the more you're going to get into a deeper hamstring stretch. So you're walking those feet back, maybe stopping somewhere around here and moving into that stretch, just really poking that butt back behind you, slight bend in the knees. Maybe you're walking back further. Again, you control the sensation levels here. But wherever you end up, keep a little tiny bend in those knees. And if you can, letting the head and chest become heavy here and pull you into a deeper stretch. This is hands down one of my favorite post-exercise stretches because you can do this at the wall. You can do this on really almost any piece of exercise equipment that's in the gym. And it stretches so many different muscles that you probably worked. So your glutes, hamstrings, calves, back, chest, shoulders.
Like I said, almost everything. We want to hold those stretches for 15 to 30 seconds. So when you're ready, slowly start by lifting the head first. You can stay down there longer if you'd like to. Start to walk those feet in. Make sure you're not dizzy before you let go of the chair. Let's come on down for some relaxation. So coming to your chair, the couch, the floor if you're feeling ambitious. And get into your relaxation posture. So again, I like to kind of wiggle things out and then just kind of let them fall loose. Especially in the legs, we tend to try to hold in the hips and the glutes and all that area. Our body just doesn't want to let go. So sometimes we have to forcefully release. So settle in, y'all. Close the eyes. Take a couple deep, relaxing breaths. Maybe even releasing with an audible sigh. And then let go even of your breathing. Feeling full, heavy, content, and relaxed. This is your time to quiet the body, the mind, and the spirit, allowing everything to integrate, to be on the same page, to find stillness in all of the spaces of the physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual beings. Feel the tension melting out of the face, out of the shoulders, washing down through the feet. And when you're ready, begin to invite small movements back to the body. And if you don't feel ready at all, then just keep relaxing for as long as you'd like to. But bringing those small movements to the toes and the fingers. Ankles and wrists. Just gradually making those movements bigger. Working into some stretching and yawning. And then slowly coming to a seated position. Either keeping the eyes closed, the eyelids heavy, or opening the eyes. And drawing the palms together in front of the heart. And just taking a moment, maybe bowing the head, expressing love and gratitude and kindness to yourself for this practice today, and then to anyone else you would like to send that to. And may this power for change and transformation that is ever present within you, let it shine out through every thought, every action, and every word. Namaste. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please reach out to me with any questions, comments, concerns, suggestions. If you just want to chat, if you want a worksheet for breathing exercises or anything else, I would love to talk to you. And otherwise, I just hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time. Bye.